right, this is the second part to my discussion about the detectives questioning Zimmerman's story. Yesterday or last night, I made it really quickly. I didn't have a lot of time. Somebody asked me to make one about that topic, and I just put it together really quickly. So I misheard the detective say that's not fear when he was talking about George jumping out of the car at the when he jumped out of the car, and the detective was suggesting he was supposed to be afraid, and all of a sudden he's jumping out of the car. That's not fear to the detective. And I disagree, and the reason I disagree is George was in fear, and there's evidence of that when Trayvon is by his car. You can hear the uneasiness in his voice. It's almost, it's a shaky fear noise. And he's asking that a deputy get sent right away, and right away. And you can also hear the door lock. So that's another sign that he was in fear. Now, once Trayvon took off running, that fear probably subsided quite a bit. And when George jumped out of the car, he wasn't expecting Trayvon to come running back. He was probably expecting him to look around the corner and see him running down the street or down the sidewalk. Hopefully catch an eye on which way he's going. So let me go ahead and start back where we were, somewhere around here. This is the lady asking him about the discrepancy of whether he jumped out of the car. Remember, this was in the earlier video, whether he jumped out of the car to get an address, or did he jump out of the car to see where Trayvon was going? So that was the issue, and we discussed that last night. So we're going to continue from there.
A fraction of a second after you say, "Oh shit, he's running," and then it sounds like you're running too.
It was fast walking.
No, it was just windy.
It was.
Hey George, what's your last name? Zimmerman. Hey George, what's the phone number you're calling from? 407 435.
Where are you at now?
240
On the trees.
00. Alright George, would you have him on the way? Do you want to meet with the officer when they get out there?
Yeah.
Alright, where are you going to meet with them at?
If they come in through the gate, tell them to go straight past the clubhouse.
What are you doing right now?
Walking back.
He said, "What are you doing right now?" He said, "Walking back to the car." So, this is all verified by the voice analyzing lie detector test that he took, that in fact he was walking back to his car. As far as the timing and overlays, like if you were to take the timing of what actually happened and overlay the dispatch call over top of it, whether those two line up perfectly with his memory, yeah, whatever. But the facts are very clear that he was indeed walking back to his car when he got attacked.
Straight past the clubhouse. And
Okay. If I time this portion, this is important, okay? I almost got to reconstruct this.
if they
When do you start
come
walking
in
back to your
through
car?
the gate, the
Come
back
here.
entrance.
Are you following
Now
them?
you're going towards
Yeah,
retreat
okay,
view,
we don't
right?
need you to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright, sir, what is your name?
George. He's right.
Okay, where you at now?
Alright, George, what's your last name?
Okay. Is that 241?
Zimmerman. Hey George, what's the phone number you're calling from?
Can you go back to your car?
407 435 2400.
Alright, George, would you have him on the way? Do you want to meet with the officer
my truck.
Okay, what address are you parked in front of?
Well, you can tell what the detective's trying to get at. It's pretty obvious. He's trying to overlay the time that from the time George got out of the car until the time George was walking back to his car, and he's trying to get George to agree with exactly what time in the call he was actually walking back to his car or which way he was going. I mean, how can you possibly tell that? It just doesn't make any sense, and it would be there. Even if they could absolutely figure out that George was mistaken or straight out lying about the timing, like, he said that he was walking back to his car, but in reality he was still walking towards Retrieve View Circle. How is that going to make any difference in the case? How is that material to the case? Basically, the case comes down to this: was George fearing for his life? Yes or no? We've got a lie detector test that says he said yes, he was fearing for his life. Did he attack Trayvon first, or was he the aggressor? No. Again, verified by a lie detector test. So these are the questions that need to be answered. The detective's bouncing all around, and he's trying to poke holes in George's story. The problem is, none of those holes make any difference. The fact that George can't remember the exact timing or where he was at any given second on the tape makes no difference whatsoever to a jury, to a judge, or anybody else except this one investigator. And if anybody else that's listening to this can tell me how it would prove that he is guilty of murder, please tell me. And don't tell me that that the fact that he's comes across dishonest is evidence that he's murderer, because that's ridiculous. So let's continue.
I don't know. It's a cut through, so I don't know the address.
Okay, do you live in the area?
Yeah.
What's your apartment number?
It's a home. It's 1950. Oh, crap. I don't want to get it out loud. I don't know where this kid is.
Okay, do you want to just be with him right near the mailboxes, then?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, George, I'll let him know to meet you with you out there.
Actually, could you have him call me and I'll tell him where I'm at?
Okay, yeah, that's no problem.
You need my number or you got it?
Yeah, I got it. It's 407-435-2400.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, no problem. I'll let them know to call you when they're in the area.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
How long is
That's
that?
84 seconds. From the point where you were walking back to your car from Retreat View to Twin Tree, basically.
Not about 30 feet.
That's a minute and 20 seconds. You stopped at the T.
No, I walked through. I stopped on Retreat View Circle.
That's where you were standing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you get back into your car.
Yes.
Why not?
I
You're
was,
in the rain, you're getting wet, you're on the phone.
because I was waiting. I had light there where I was at, and I was trying to hit my flashlight. I didn't want to walk back through without light.
Okay. A minute and 20 seconds.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're in the rain getting wet. You've wrote this guy off basically to meet the police. Okay. You see where the obstacle is here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I want you to think about that.
I think the detective should think about it himself. Maybe he should think about it himself. I don't think he really is listening. George says he goes through to the other side. This is on the other side of the walk-through, not where his truck is, on the other side. That's where he's waiting. So the detective is saying, yeah, well, we can hear you moving from one side to the other, and you get over the other side, and now you tell us at this point you're coming back to your truck, but it takes you a minute and 20 seconds to get back to your truck across that area. Well, George just said that he was waiting on that other side because there was light over there, not on the side by his truck. See, this is where the detective's backwards. He doesn't understand, apparently, or maybe someone can straighten me out, because I've been straightened out before. What I want to hear is dispute George's word that he went over there, went across the T, went all the way over to the other side. There's light over there. Let's go over there, take a look. Is there light at night over there? He's over there. He's trying to get his flashlight to work. He doesn't want to cut back across that T, not at this point, because, it's eerie. It's dark back there. There's no lights back there. So he's trying to cut back across. At some point, he's like, well, I'm assuming he's waited long enough. He's maybe got his flashlight working a little bit, and he starts to cut across there. And he gets just a little past the T. Trayvon's already turned around. He's coming back up from his house. Left his house. He's probably on a full jog. According to Dee Dee, he's breathing hard, so he's probably in a full jog. He jogged all the way home. Now he's jogging all the way back, or on a full run. Or as the detective wants to know, what was this kind of run was it? Who cares? So Trayvon confronts him. How do we know for certain, 100% true fact, that Trayvon confronted him? Well, there's a lot of physical evidence, like, Trayvon's got a bloody fist, and George has a bloody nose and face, and George has gashes to the back of his head. So that's a physical evidence, and in the old days when we didn't have technology, we just would have relied on that. That would have been the end of it. Oh, the one guy got beat up, the other guy pulled out his gun and saved himself. End of story. But now all this new technology and all these tapes and recordings, and we've got all these 911 calls, and it's wonderful. But it all supports George. And every single place where anything has changed, it's always been against George. It's like, oh, let's see, let's have the state talk to a witness, and when they're done talking to the witness, guess what? The witnesses want to, they feel like maybe I should change my story. But of course, the state asks them, is anybody pressuring you? Oh no, no one would be pressuring us. Ask John. He said, well, I feel intimidated. Yeah, I think so too. The state, I've already been questioned by the police department. I've already gone through the whole process, and now the state's going to come and drag my ass through the whole thing again. And now they're getting really picky about it. Like, for example, John says, I saw Trayvon on top of George, and I saw George crying out for help. And what the state gets John in the corner and says, John, did you see his lips moving in that dark, dark place? It was dark. I couldn't really see his lips moving. Then, are you lying to us about it? Oh, no, sir. No, sir. Trayvon was on top. He was going at it. George was on underneath. George is looking at me. I couldn't see his lips, but I could see that he was clearly in distress. That's not what we're asking. We want to know, did you see his lips moving? See what I'm saying? They don't want the truth. This is real obvious that the prosecution is out to hang George. They're not interested in the truth.
I'm speaking for you. It's everybody. I'm trying to do the best I can here. It's a minute and 20 seconds. It doesn't sound like you were saying, it doesn't sound like you quite recall exactly what happened at that point, okay? Finish this off here, then I'll do something else.
Yeah, we know that. He doesn't recall. He got his head bashed in.
My concern is also this. Oh shit, he's running. And I'm getting out of my car in an instant to make sure I don't lose sight of this guy. That's what it sounds like. Are you following him? Because that's what it sounds like you're doing. That's why he asked you the question. It sounded to the dispatcher likely that you were running. And that's why he asked you that question. Are you following him? And your answer is yes. Okay? But then you get to the other side, and you're concerned about walking past this guy when you've already been chasing him, essentially.
She said that you get to the other side, now you're concerned. You've been chasing him, and now you're not concerned? Well, I love how she says essentially, because it's real important that, they try to stick with the facts and the truth. Chasing someone means to pursue or to try to catch. George has maintained consistently, and along with all of his history, has always been the same. He never tries to catch the people that he follows, ever. He watches them. He looks from a distance. He hopes they don't even see him. That's his hope. He's just trying to direct the police there, as can be obviously seen by his calls to the police.
You go back to your car and now you want to pretend, or not pretend, you want us to believe that you're concerned about having a flashlight. You wanted us to believe, and he's telling you to go back to your car and now you want to pretend. And he's telling you to go back to your car and now, and he's telling you to go back to your car and now you want to pretend, or not pretend, you wanted us to believe.
So now she's telling us that the dispatcher told him to go back to his car. No, the dispatcher never said anything about the car. Never. Jeez, that really bugs me. I don't know why it bugs me so much. Maybe that's why I'm paying so much attention to this case. So let's continue.
He's telling you to go back to your car and now you want to pretend, or not pretend, you wanted us to believe that you're concerned about having a flashlight to move back where you just ran?
You're
Trying
looking
to
for
catch
him.
up to him. See what I'm saying?
Okay, it sounds like you're looking for him.
You brought a flashlight. You wanted to be able to see him.
You want to catch him. You want to catch him back,
Not,
right?
it doesn't, that's...
Fucking punk, you can't get away. Listen, we're outside the interrogation room, okay? We are in a whole different area right here, okay? This is where, you know what I mean, this is why I took you out of there.
And now we have the detective trying to give George the comfortable feeling that he's not being listened to officially. That, go ahead, tell us. Yeah, they're fucking punks. Come on. Admit it. Agree with us. We all agree. They're all fucking punks. That's why we brought you out of the room, so that no one else can hear us. We're just gonna whisper. They're fucking punks. In fact, I'll bet you could probably even talk about racism now.
So you can hear this, so I can recall your memory and let you see if you say you walk back to your car and you still outside your car from it, they're not going to believe anything I have to say. And that's what I'm saying. Is there anything that you need to clarify right now? Did you pursue this kid? Did you want to catch him?
No.
Okay, it's not you. It's not what you're about.
Why did you tell us?
Now, that was very clear, and it really bugs me. This is the kind of stuff that bugs me, and this is why I've taken on this case personally. I have a real irritation when I hear about this crap, and when I listen to this detective questioning this guy who has gone out of his way for his community and tried to help people, and he's questioning him like he's some sort of common murderer. Come on, admit it. You wanted to catch him. You wanted to get hold of him. And what's George's response? No, but not just a no, not a no. This was a real heartfelt, deep no. He's not trying to cover up anything here, people. It's obvious. Let's listen to that piece again.
It's not what you're about.
Why did you tell us?
Okay, it's not you. It's not what you're about.
Why did you tell us?
Okay, it's not you. It's not what you're about.
Why did you tell us?
Okay, it's not you. It's not what you're about.
Why did you tell us?
I was frustrated. I couldn't think of this street name.
But you were going to be back in your car in that distance in less than 15 or 20 seconds. So why would they need to call you?
I felt like I didn't give them an adequate description of where I was from the clubhouse.
Because no, what the impression would be is that you're going to continue to look, and when they get here, you just tell them where you're at that point. See what I'm saying? Well, no, never mind. Just tell them to call me when they get here, and I'll tell them where I'm at. Meaning I might not be in my car. I just told them I would be.
But no, we're here working for you here, okay?
Yes,
So he keeps telling him, you know, we're here to work with you. Yeah, the you know, the DA's office already dropped this case. This was a done deal. It's finished. The DA had investigated it. The police department had done lie detector tests. I mean, this was a done deal. So now the special prosecutor comes in, and the special prosecutor appoints this guy, and he's here to help George. Come on. But, you know, you just got to listen. Let me go back because this really drives me nuts.
See what I'm saying? Well, no, never mind. Just tell them to call me when they get here, and I'll tell them where I'm at.
So she's trying to suggest that this is evidence that Trayvon is being hunted down and murdered because George said, you know, listen, he's given the police the directions, and he's telling the dispatch guy, listen, you know, if you come into the park or you come into the neighborhood and you go straight, no, you turn left. No, it's more like you know, and really what it is you go straight, turn left. The road turns to the bears to the left. But while he's telling him the directions, and you can listen back to the tape, he's saying this stuff. He's being distracted by Trayvon, and he's like, you know, at that point he's saying, you know, look, and that's when he goes after him. He's like, listen, just have him call me, and that way, you know, that'd be the best way to, you know, tell him exactly where he is. Never did the dispatch suggest he go back to his truck, or that it was safer to be in his truck. No one ever suggested that. I don't know what they're thinking. Trayvon knows where his truck is. Trayvon, I mean, if Trayvon was armed and wanted to kill him, what's the easier way to kill somebody? Somebody standing up out in the yard with their own gun, or somebody sitting in their car where you could walk up behind him and cap him in the ear? You know, what's safer? So when the police tell you get back in your car as if it's safer, they don't know that, and they don't have any right to tell you where to be. Never did George give up his right as a human being to be where he wants to be. The police can't tell you, go here, go there. Now, they can tell you to get off of private property, but they can't tell you to leave your own home neighborhood or go to your house. I mean, they could if they were there physically. The dispatch can't tell you anything. And the police really don't have any power over you as a person. You are an individual. You are a sovereign person. You have control over yourself. And at no time do you give up your right to self-defense. Ever.
That might not be in my car, where I just told them I would be.
You know, we're here working for you here, okay? Let's cut open your mind, okay? And if there's anything that needs to be changed, this is it.
This is it. Anything you want to change, now's the time.
911, do you need police, fire, medical? Maybe
Hear that voice in the background?
both. I'm not sure. There's just someone screaming. 911, do you need police, fire, medical? Maybe both. I'm not sure. There's just someone screaming outside. Okay, what's the address that they're near? 1211 Twin Trees Lane. Twin Trees Lane? Is this in Twin Lake Town, in Sanford? Yeah. Okay. And is it a male or female? It's a male. And you don't know why? I don't know why. I think they're yelling help, but I don't know. It's like someone's like, does he look hurt? I can't see him. I don't want to go out there. I don't know what's going on. So they're sending. So you think he's yelling help? Yes. All right, what is your...
He smothered you. Correct. At what point did he smother you? Right before you shot him?
Yes.
none of these points are making any difference.
911, do you need police or medical?
I need to give me an approximate time when he started
I'm not
smothering.
sure. There's just someone screaming.
I need an approximate time of when he started smothering you. This is what he's asking. Hold on. Maybe I misheard that. I gotta rewind that. That just doesn't make it. Give me an approximate time.
911, do you need police or medical?
I need to give me an approximate time when he started
I'm
smothering
not
you.
sure. There's just someone screaming outside. Okay, what's the address that they're near? 1211.
That's you yelling for help.
Twin Trees Lane. Is this in the Twin Lake town in Sanford? Yes. Okay. And is it a male or female?
Help me, help me.
It sounds like a male. And you don't know why? I don't know why. I think they're yelling help, but I don't know. Just send someone to say crap. Does he look hurt? I can't see him. I don't want to go out there. I don't know what's going on. So they're sending. So you think he's yelling help? Yes. All right. What is your name on the thing? Gunshot.
Can you recall? Prior to you shooting him, he was on you, correct? Okay. We just arrested him. You should have a point blank range. He was on top of you, right? Yes, sir. In the middle of that yelling, nobody came out to help you. I can't pinpoint where you were smothered. That's the problem I'm having. And nobody's saying they saw him smothered. They were saying they saw him on top of you.
It's amazing. So now he's trying to figure out when the smothering occurred. And George, explained what had happened. You got to listen to his. It's a long lie detector test. It's very long, but it gives you the whole story. The recording's over an hour, but if you fast forward through it, you can get to the part where they actually start doing the, skim past the part where they're just chatting, the girl and him. You'll see what I mean. But listen to this. He just wants to find out where the smothering part is, and he hears the yelling, he hears the crying out, and he's trying to figure out now where is the smothering part in all this. I hear a lot of yelling. I can hear the screaming for help. Who gives a crap? Really? I mean, we pretty much have a good clue that George is screaming. Got a pretty good clue. He's on the bottom. He's getting his head bashed in. We've got the neighbor right there, 10 feet away from him going, We got George saying, dude, help me. I need help now. And the guy says, I'll call 911. George is saying, no, help me. I need help now. So, who cares when the smothering happened, how long it took, how long he was being suffocated? Was it before was it well before the shooting? Was it at the beginning or in the middle or at the end? Who cares? And if we get this information, how is it going to affect the case? Really? Let's say we find out that he was being suffocated at the beginning. No difference. How about the middle? No difference. How about the end? No difference. What if he wasn't being suffocated and George just hallucinated it? No difference. No difference. What do we know? George was being beat. We got the evidence. What evidence? His face, his nose, his head. So we know he was getting beat. We've got witnesses to that effect. He's proven that he was fearing for his life. He swore it and under oath, and he did it on a lie detector test. So if he's fearing for his life, he was doing nothing wrong. And they keep going around and around about when this happened and when that happened, as if it makes a bit of difference. When did George give up his right to walk around his neighborhood, regardless of the actions of Trayvon? Or anybody else for that matter? If he saw somebody that looked suspicious and he felt like it was his duty to try to keep an eye on him, What constitutional right was he denied by them saying that he can't do that? I'll tell you, there's several. You really need to understand the Constitution and understand that people have a general right to do pretty much anything they want. But they don't have a right to go and hit somebody. So we have no evidence that George ever hit anybody, so that's not an issue. But we have evidence that Trayvon did. That's an issue. Trayvon was committing assault with a deadly weapon, which is a felony. George not only had a right to stop him, he had a duty. And if it would have been somebody else he saw being beat, he would have had a duty to stop Trayvon in that case too. That's what we do. It's called citizen's arrest. We can arrest him, we can shoot him. That's the law. Can't hardly hear her. Let's go to the next.
We don't hear him at all either. Is he being quiet? Is he whispering to you?
So she's saying you should have heard the crying out like a stop because he's being suffocated. So we should hear that in the 911 calls. That's what she's saying, basically. And if we don't, then that means you were lying about the suffocation. And if that means you were lying about being suffocated, then that means that you're lying about everything. And that means that Trayvon was just walking through here and you decided to kill him. And you jumped him and you killed him. Is that what that means? No. I don't think so. I don't remember ever in my life a person in this case, in this type of situation, having to prove his innocence when all this evidence supports him. They're taking every single thing and trying to take it apart. Things that, he wouldn't be able to remember. And if he did remember, it would be a miracle, especially after what he went through.
Saw you had a gun at that point. I think he might have saw you had a gun when you guys were standing before you punched him. No way, no how. Was it totally concealed in that jacket? You never got a glimpse of it? Accidentally. Well, and once again, getting back to the beginning, what was the provocation from punching you other than the fact you were following it that you can think of? Why are you so mad at you?
I've gone through it.
They're moving all around the microphone. I can't hear a thing he's saying. All right, I think that's the end of their interview with George. This is the last one. Whoever's handling the microphone over there is really... All right, that was the end of it. So that pretty much is the entire detective questions. And, as you can see, they're questioning a guy who has gone through a lot of trauma, a lot of stress, and trying to get him to give exact moment by moment, not even minute by minute details. They want second by second. They want to know, they want him to lay out his steps and then lay out the all the 911 calls and the every activity that happened that night. They want him to remember it all. You know, I bet you if he would have known that all this was going to happen, he probably would have been taking notes. You know, that way he could have said, hey, you know, this happened and that happened exactly. But most people carry their life in a different way. You know, you do things in your life. You just go through your life. You're not making records. You're not, you know, every time I go around a corner, I'm not going, ooh, that's a red car with a black top and there's 3 people in it. You know, I don't pay attention. I don't pay attention to much until I come into a situation where it's necessary. You know, if I see something that's interesting, I'll look at it. Otherwise, I don't. But, you know, if I see somebody that's suspicious, I'm looking at them. You know, I'm seeing what I think I can try to figure out what they're up to. But, you know, I'm not thinking, boy, I better keep real good track and real good records of everything that happens and every step and every second of it and how it laid out and how it went down as compared to the 911 call and the dispatch call. See, you know, you can't expect anybody to keep these perfect records in their mind. And George said it several times. Like earlier in the first one, he was said in the 911 or in the dispatch call, he said he said something about the guy's jacket and his button or something. And George said, I don't even remember talking about that. You know, so several times. And yeah, I mean, if you try to compare the call with his description of that call, it's a little different. But guess what? That's okay. It has nothing to do with the case. And it's understandable. How is he going to remember every single word? I can't. Anyhow, it was fun. If you guys have any questions or if you want to tell me something some mistakes I made, I'd appreciate it. Go ahead and, you know, anybody's welcome to comment on my videos and I won't remove you. You say anything you want. Talk to you later.